Exactly 2 weeks ago to the day, we were the first to report that the administrator here at Jones & Jones Assisted Living Facility had her license suspended. That development came down just minutes ago. Police saying they will release the body camera footage after they sit down and show the family. Let's say you're driving like I am now and you get pulled over. All you have to do is say, "Hey Siri, I'm getting pulled over," and your entire exchange will be recorded. Meantime, I tried to talk to the property manager today to get some answers. Take a look. Is that the manager? Excuse me, sir. The property manager for Cedar Grove Properties, LLC, wouldn't talk to us. It was quite a sight, and it was by this once massive tree. You can see here it was completely uprooted, and then it fell over the street, crushing 2 vehicles. My source just told me that a hit-and-run investigation is happening right now after a truck struck a pole and then fled the scene. The water inside the restaurant rose so high, they've actually marked it here on the wall. From non-compliance and deception to abuse and even fraud, this report against Mabel Jones is scathing. Officials say those 4 men flew from California here to Charlottesville with the intent to be violent. They say they hit, punched, and kicked counter-protesters. For starters, take a look. You can see all of these cones set up here. This is the that development came down just minutes ago. Police saying they will release the body camera footage after they sit down and show the family. Now, Chief Alfred Durham also released this statement. Take a look at your screen. He said, "I want to clear the air and set the record straight. There's so much misinformation out there right now. The facts are what should matter here." Now, this also comes today as police release the name of the officer who they say shot and killed Marcus David Peters. I spoke to Peters' sister today, who said her brother did not have to die.
Marcus was in distress. He did not need a bullet. He needed help.
A sister's emotional plea for justice.
Marcus was unarmed, yet a police officer found that it was necessary to use deadly forces and therefore kill my brother.
After her brother is killed by police.
He did not deserve to die. He did deserve, again, help and a chance to try again.
Her brother, Marcus David Peters, was known to his family as Poppy. He was one of 12 siblings, the youngest boy.
Marcus was such a brilliant and intelligent individual.
A star student, athlete, musician. The 24-year-old's life cut short on Monday after he was shot by police on I-95. Earlier that day, Princess Blanding paints a normal picture. Peters had been at Essex High School teaching biology. He left to go home after school, saw his girlfriend, and then went to a meeting at his second job as a security guard at the Jefferson. The rest is what Richmond police continue to investigate.
Our family wants to see the body cameras, wants to see any dashboard cameras. We want to see the official police report.
RPD confirms that Officer Michael Nyantaki was alone when police say Peters charged at him. Nyantaki shot Peters in the stomach after trying to use a taser. Peters died in the hospital Monday night.
We want justice for Marcus, and we want answers.
Jason called, and he was excited.
That was the last time Candy Lee Wright would ever receive a voicemail from her dad.
Hello, and wonderful winnings. Bye.
My dad is an honorably discharged Army veteran, and he stood up for his country, and now they're not standing behind him.
Candy Lee is her father Clarence's voice, since Clarence lost his ability to speak 3 years ago at the age of 63.
My father was having issues with like a phlegm buildup in his throat. The physicians recommended that he do Botox.
After months of back and forth and second opinions, Wright decided to go through with the procedure.
And they said, you know, it can change your vocals slightly, like the pitch of your voice, but there's no permanent side effects, and in 90 days, your pitch of your voice goes back to normal.
On July 29, 2015, Clarence Wright had Botox injected into his vocal folds here at McGuire, a procedure that would change his life forever.
The expressions and the clenching that I saw, it was very painful. My dad couldn't speak immediately afterwards. They never said he could lose his voice.
2.5 years later, Clarence can barely make a sound. He also has trouble breathing now and uses an oxygen tank.
So clearly something was done incorrectly.
The Wrights continued to go to follow-up appointments at McGuire and soon sought out a patient advocate at the facility.
During the appointment, she asked the physician what actually caused this to happen. And his words were, "Unfortunately, this sometimes happens with Botox." I will never forget those words.
According to Wright, those words were written down, as was everything said in the appointment. The Wrights hired a lawyer.
When a patient goes to a VA hospital, that's an arm of the federal government, and so when there is a claim that you're going to make against the federal government, you have to go through special processes that are set up by federal statute. It's called the Federal Tort Claims Act.
Les Bowers filed a tort claim seeking compensation for Clarence Wright, but it was denied. They appealed, and it was denied again. According to Wright, part of the reason for the denial was because the notes taken by the patient advocate about their case was missing from the file. The Wrights went back to the advocate to ask what happened. According to them, she acted as though she didn't have knowledge of the missing documents and wrote a summary of what she could remember. In this summary, she writes the doctor, quote, provided an injection in his throat that caused the veteran to have multiple medical issues to follow. Mr. Wright lost his voice box, which was intact prior to the Botox.
These cases, both cases against VA hospitals and cases against private hospitals, are incredibly difficult for several reasons, but one of the biggest reasons is that the healthcare providers, the hospital systems, control all the information.
That lack of information is the reason a medical expert Bowers consulted with said there was not enough images and documentation to directly prove that Wright's complications were due to malpractice. The medical expert's sign-off is what they needed to file a lawsuit in federal court.
So without the facts, there could be no lawsuit. Without a lawsuit, there could be no mechanism for us to obtain the additional facts that had been hidden from us.
Information, the Wrights say, shows negligence that ruined and cut short Clarence's life.
How does this make you feel that all of this has happened to you?
There's nothing more Wright can do in the courts, but he and his daughter wanted their story told to warn others. We reached out to the VA, who released this statement saying Mr. Wright was thoroughly investigated and denied because the evidence did not support his claim. The statement goes on to say that no evidence was found of any medical information being removed or deleted. If you want to read the full statement from the hospital, you can do so on NBC12.com as well as our NBC 12 News app.
Pete is sitting
Page after page. 7-year-old Aiden Davis.
Here Pete comes rolling down down the street, rocking in red shoes.
Reads to dogs at the SPCA.
It's pretty more fun, pretty much. I am writing in my school shoes.
He's read his favorite books, like this one, To Dogs Like Earhart, several times over the past few months.
He definitely likes books because every time I come and read to him, he calms down like 10 minutes later.
But a few months ago, this second grader says he would not have been able to read the stories to these pups.
Because it would be hard, difficult, like this book. I would be having problems.
Aiden has dyslexia, a learning disorder characterized by difficulty reading. He struggled in school.
I would just be the only one who was having problems. What is a hat?
That is, until he started working on his reading outside of school with this woman, Caroline Hughes. Hughes had an idea: have her students, like Aiden, read to dogs.
I thought it would encourage them to and just be something else that would make reading fun.
She contacted the SPCA, and they were immediately on board.
I think that what these dogs do for the kids is provide them with a wonderful, non-judgmental, accepting, loving individual.
Pete says
Hughes' students started reading to the dogs here who were going through rehab and oftentimes isolated from human interaction.
It was really quite beautiful. It was an emotional experience to watch.
It's an experience that has left Aiden with a newfound love for reading and dogs, like Earhart, the companionship they crave and deserve.